Hi, welcome to the IQI Intuition video series. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about our new precaution and prevention tracking that we've recently added. To get started here, we'll just pull up a patient and take a look at the infections that this patient has. So in the past, we've had precautions for infections. What we've done is we've kind of expanded on that due to the request of several folks that are using the system. We've now essentially given the incident and wound side the same capabilities, so we can track preventions and precautions. And much like the infection side, you can also see those on the line listing, and they can also be printed off and things like that as well. We've also kind of combined them into one centralized system where you can see all preventions and precautions that the resident has tracked. So to get started, we'll pull up an infection. Now we'll kind of take a look here at how this has changed. So not much has changed from a tab perspective, but you will notice that when we go to the prevention screen, that looks a little bit different now. Prior to this, we had some checkboxes in here. Now you'll see we have an actual grid. So probably one of the most significant changes is instead of just showing a prevention or precaution for that specific infection that we're looking at, we actually show them all, but we highlight the ones that are relevant in red. So as you can see here, we have quite a few listed, but only those that actually fit within the timeline of this infection will be highlighted. So the idea is it will give you kind of a view of everything, and it will single out the ones that are directly relevant. Changing preventions is fairly easily. So in the past, you'd check a checkbox. That's changed a little bit now. To add a new prevention, we would just click on the new track new prevention button. That's going to bring up a box here that allows us to specify the specific prevention or precaution we've put into place, when it was started. So I'm going to back this up a little bit here. When it ended. If it did not end yet, so if it's still active, we can leave this box unchecked and we can save it. I'm going to just set that to today. We also have added a new field called additional details. So if you feel that it will be helpful, you can actually put some additional information in here, but it's not necessary for the system to work. So that's an optional field. So as you can see, it added a new one in here, and it highlighted it in red because it's not, or because it is relevant to this particular infection. So now say we're looking at this and we see, oh, this was a mistake. I need to change this airborne that maybe we didn't actually have airborne precautions in place at any given time for this resident. So we can actually remove that. I'll take that off of our list, and we can, perhaps we look at the droplet and we say, well, this one wasn't really active at that time either. It was active for a short period of time, but we forgot to put the end date in there. We can do that as well. So we'll back this up to 2013. So as you can see, it added the end date, and it also is no longer highlighted because we have the infection noted on 3 of 2015, and this particular prevention took place several years before that. So I'm going to save that. So now that's kind of what we already had in a sense. Now we're going to go take a look at incidents and see what we've added there. So now you'll notice that there's a new preventions tab under incidents. So most of the preventions that we have in the system right now, in fact, I think all of them are geared more towards fall preventions. As time goes on, we'll probably add more for some of these other things. As always, we are happy to receive feedback from all of you, and if you have some things that you'd like to see added in here, you can definitely send me an email, and we'll get those added for you. So if your facility has put in place a prevention for, say, behavior episodes or some of these med errors, things like that, we can definitely add those in there. Right now, for this first kind of first iteration of this, we just simply have some preventions for falls. So if I hit track new prevention in here, as you can see, we have 15-minute neuro checks, floor mats and mattresses, labs, nap and rest periods, night lights, all sorts of different preventions that we've collected from several of our customers. So I'll just put repositioning in here for now. Much like the infection prevention and precautions, this works the same way. We'll say this prevention was active at the beginning of the month. So I'll hit save on that. Let's try that one more time here. There we go. So as you can see, it now added that prevention down at the bottom. Now it's not highlighted, and the reason being is this incident occurred back in 2013. So a prevention that was added for October of 2016 isn't going to be relevant to that. So let's fix that. Let's say we looked at this incident. We're backfilling some data, and we want to add a prevention or apply a prevention that was active back in 2013 so that it's properly flagged. So let's go back and set that to 2013, and we'll say let's say January. And then we'll say we stopped this particular prevention in 2015. Or we stopped this precaution. See? So now you see, now that we've kind of readjusted that time frame, it's highlighted and it's relevant to this particular incident. So as I'm sure you can guess, if we look at the wounds tab now, that's also going to have the same concept. So now when I select a specific wound down at the bottom, I can see the preventions that were active during the active course of this particular pressure ulcer. Works the same exact way. You hit track new prevention. The preventions that we have listed here will now be specific to wound tracking. Works exactly like the others. So much like our reoccurring theme within IQI Intuition, we try to keep things somewhat standardized and simple. Preventions and precautions work pretty much the same way, no matter if you're dealing with an infection incident or a wound. So then the next question is, what do I get for entering all of this data? And that's where the line listings are going to come in. So let's go ahead and start with the infection line listing. So in line listings in the past, we've shown preventions, and that has not changed. So over here you can see we have contact prevention in place during the course of this infection. One thing to kind of mention is the way that the timeframes of preventions and precautions works with infections might be a little bit different from an incident. An infection is a long-running, potentially over the course of several days event, and so we track preventions and precautions for infections. We will tie them together if the precaution or prevention occurred or was activated at some point during the course of that infection. So say we had an infection that started at the beginning of the month and it ended at the end of the month. Any precaution or prevention that was activated or started during this month will be tied to that particular infection. Now, when we go to incidents, that works a little bit differently because incidents are a one-time event that happens. It's not something that continues to happen during the course of several days. It happens, within a matter of a few minutes, and then it starts and completes, and then it's done. So for those, let's go ahead and pull up our incident line listing. So this is something new we didn't have before, and that is the incident precaution. So let me back this up a little bit to a little bit wider time frame. Let's see if we can find one here. Okay, so as you can see, for this fall, we have a resident and family education prevention in place when this fall occurred. So, as I was kind of mentioning before, the way that we tie preventions and precautions to incidents works a little bit differently in that with infection, it's whenever the prevention or precaution started during the course of an infection. With incidents, it's whether or not they were activated when that incident happened. So when that incident occurred, we're going to show you all the things that were, all the prevention and precautions that were in place when that happened. So as you can see on the line list, we can see right here that that's listed out. So that is new, and if you choose to use this feature, you'll start to see those show on your line listings. So let's go take a look at the wound line listing now. And here we go. So now we have that also listed on our wound. So as it pertains to how do we match up preventions and precautions to wounds, that kind of works a lot like infections, where any preventative measure that's put in place during an active wound will be linked to that wound. So as you can see here, we have turn reposition schedule listed under this wound. So that's kind of how they apply to the line listings. Another thing you'll notice is we have added a new tab called Preventions to the patient view, which will show you everything. So this is not just infections or incidents. It's actually the combined list of all of them. So it gives you kind of a view of what preventions and precautions have been put in place, and you can also modify them from here. So if you choose not to track these things along with the specific infection, incident, or wound, you can actually track them at this level. So if your process is you'd like to come in here at the end of the week and update this for each patient, you can do that, and that can be a separate process from the actual infection or incident wound tracking process. So the last thing I want to cover real quick is how this has impacted the timeline. So some people may or may not be familiar with our timeline feature, but we do have that available. And when you pull up a patient's timeline, you can see you have the option to show all of the different events that have happened and that have been tracked within the system. So let's turn on our falls here. And as you can see, it'll show when the falls have occurred. And we can show let's show our UTIs. And then lastly, you'll see that if you are familiar with this feature, you'll see that there's a prevention type and prevention category. So you have the ability to drill down to a specific prevention and see when they were activated. And you can also just say, I'd like to see all preventions when they were started and ended. So let's turn that on here. And so as you can see here, we can see when we began, and this data probably is a little not real. we probably just punched in some fake numbers, and as you can see, some dates that probably don't make sense. But what you'd actually typically see is new anti-tippers would have started, and then maybe would have ended somewhere down the line, and you'd be able to see all the different incidents that occurred during that time. Or if the prevention has actually been effective, you'll see that no incidents or no falls have happened during that time. So the timeline's a nice way for you to kind of get a feel for when things began, when things ended. Are they effective? What things have happened while those those preventions were activated. So that about sums up the new prevention and precaution feature. This feature is the result of many folks asking us, hey, we'd really like to track some of these things for falls, and so we just kind of felt, well, let's expand that across the board, make that something we can track for all types of metrics, and you can do that now. So we will continue to add more things to this based on your feedback, and we would love to hear back from you if you give this a try and you see some things that don't make sense, or some things that do make sense and you'd like to recommend some features, as always, let us know, and we'd be happy to look into that. So thanks for your time, and look forward to talking to you in our next video series.